The whole oil industry is deeply rooted in the Northwest. Anywhere you have ports, you're going to have these issues of movement of coal, oil, chemicals. Particularly on the Willamette, you have an 11-mile stretch of either the first or second most polluted waterway in the country. I think that's a significant thing to think about. My family particularly has been involved in Native American activism for, I don't remember not being involved. I just don't remember not. When I was really little, my father, he was extremely involved, kind of mostly behind the scenes. In a way, he helped write a lot of legislation for Native issues, and really went out and tracked down politicians and tried to get things moving. And then, of course, my aunt, Helen Louise White Peterson. She was the executive director of the Congress of American Indians. She was as far as I know, not the first, probably the first woman, definitely, to be appointed to as the Commissioner of Human Affairs in Denver, Colorado. Just in that Native issue, probably our largest wins, our only wins, particularly in the state of Washington, but in the Northwest, 30-some now, have been directly related to tribal sovereignty and treaty issues. So it's not insignificant. The tribal economy is on the way up in the state of Washington. With that is political and economic power. The tribal economy is the fourth largest employer in the state of Washington. It's not insignificant. Largely, those jobs are going to non-Indians because we don't have the capacity to fill those jobs ourselves at this point. I'd love to see that happen, or a larger part, and we're working on that. But a lot of those, I think, need to be, like when we were talking about the Superfund site, those need to be in that arena of responsibility to clean these things up and to do these things. So part of my organization is to facilitate that and to bring that into the economy and make that a larger part. This region should be huge in doing that cleanup. If in this region we can make facilities that we can bring some of this stuff in to be processed, cleaned, and taken back, if we can train particularly poor people of color, the people that are most affected by this, as technicians and as cleanup people, and cleaning up the river and cleaning up these sites in a responsible manner and really cleaning them up, not covering them up with something in a flood zone and an earthquake zone and expecting that to be all fine and dandy when we know for a fact that doesn't work. But can we train these people? Can we make this economy? Can we be responsible for that in the Great Northwest? Hell yeah, we can do that. When that bold decision came down, it made huge changes in the Northwest. One of the things it did is said that, yeah, they can own them salmon. They have rights to live, to drink water, clean water, to have salmon for their sustenance, their economy, and their spiritual well-being, and that they had the rights to access not only to the usual and accustomed sites, but in lieu sites. So when we put in the dams, when we put in these industrial sites and poisoned some of these sites so that they're not usable because of dumping PCBs and whatever toxins you may have, they're unavailable to fish in. But in that, it also said that we're responsible for maintaining the quality of those fisheries, of that water, of the air, because, wow, go figure, human beings have rights to clean air, clean water, and to eat. We haven't quite got to the part where, they get medical care or a place to lay down to sleep, or housing, but we're getting there, I hope. With the current situations in Chernobyl, with the current situation in Japan, current situation at Hanford Reservation, where the old infrastructure is collapsing, and we know that union people, workers are being hurt, that they're coming down with the disease, and basically they've really tried to hide that. They've really tried to cover that up, and it's coming out. We know now because of social media and other things that this is a significant problem. It's going to continue to be a significant problem. Look at statistics. Pulmonary disease is off the charts, and particularly in the Portland metro area. We're one of the worst in the country. Particulate matter and toxic matter. So, the great clean Northwest and the green Portland is a lie. We have extraordinary amounts of Superfunds and brown sites and Superfunds that we don't know about yet, because the only way you find out about those is if somebody is going to sell the property and develop it. Normally, the people most affected by that are poor people of color, people that work there, including the building trades and including the industrial trades. These are the people that are going home with the cancers, with the blood cancers, with the respiratory problems, and had their children having these problems, and their great-grandchildren having these problems. And we've got to understand that these things we pay for one way or the other. But corporations certainly aren't paying for that. More and more they're being subsidized. So you and I are paying for these cleanups. You and I are paying for everything. Every little toy that we have, the thousands of toys that we buy in our lifetime now, think about just the copper in those and what that means and what the devastation of that is when you're mining the copper, and then when you're taking the coal to smelt the copper, or the natural gas, or whatever you're using for your smelting, or the electric to smelt that stuff, and what that is doing, and what the cumulative effects of that are on your environment and on the cost of your life. Certainly in the building trades, largely we're making the same money we were in the 70s. Most of any monies that we got, any raises that we got, have gone to healthcare and insurance. Something is wrong there. Connections of the thin green line to labor are really extensive. For me personally, having had family and situation involved in union labor for a long time, and being aware of union labor, we knew 40, 50 years ago that there were issues with pollution. There were issues on the job sites. People were bringing poisons, they were bringing toxins home to their children. They were dying at alarming rates of cancer and other issues within the trades. Kids are accumulating these huge amounts of disease states that we can do something about. Those are things that we can do something about, and that we can still have a great economy and still be good human beings in doing so, but without being greedy and stupid. You can teach them at a young age to be good stewards of resources and what this means. They've got some great programs around here, Columbia Springs and everything, that teaching kids about the realities of nature and what's going on in the toxin stuff. And they've got the Salmon in Schools program, which lets them raise some fish and release them. And this is great stuff. CRITFIC, Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission, has programs for youth and kids. NAYA, Native American Youth and Family Services, Wisdom of the Elders, Some of these things are just extraordinary opportunities for kids to go out there and be connected, learn, and to change that whole mindset that needs to be changed at that level. You gotta love the shall know thing on the bridge. I think part of it was there was certain artistic beauty of it, and a poetic beauty that kind of lifted people up and got people moving, and that's important. You know, that's I don't care how they get there, just as long as they get there, right? Whatever that motivation is, everybody has a different motivation. Everybody has a different level of motivation. I don't care what it is, just as long as you get there, and you stay there, and you end up doing it because it's the right thing to do, because it's the good thing to do, it's the moral thing to do. 5,000 people going to a hearing. Whoa. That many people coming to, showing up for testimony. It's the biggest thing in Washington for certainly. That's significant. That's significant as a society that things are moving. When you hear those kids, I mean, they're not stupid. Kids are extraordinary. I just think they're smarter and smarter, you know. But they're the most affected, and they're the ones that are going to have to repair the things that we've ruined. And we have ruined them. They're the ones responsible. So when they're getting up and they're talking from their hearts, I think it's extraordinarily important that people listen to that. I think it's important to listen, you know, the facts and figures, yeah, you got to have them. But the testimony of human beings and the testimony of how they're affected by this in their jobs, in how they've, particularly older people, how they've seen the changes over time, and what that means, and what those cumulative effects of these toxins have been. Look at the difference in the amount of activism nationwide now in Florida, California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Arizona, Montana. It's increased incredibly over this time. You look at Standing Rock, thousands of people of extraordinary background from all sorts of countries, all sorts of tribes, all sorts of nations, all sorts of backgrounds. They're black, yellow, red, pink, my God, rich people, poor people. The diversity was extraordinary, but they were there for a peaceful, prayerful, piece of humanity, and for the right reasons. This stuff is hugely important, because if you don't get up and if you don't speak, certainly they're going to go on without you. They're going to do what they're going to do. You have to stand up and speak. You have to state your case. And the human element of that, I think, is the most important part, because we have to elevate this to a human equation.